This is the biological reality of Dimash Kudaibergen, known to the world simply as Dimash Kudaibergen. He represents a fundamental paradigm shift in the contemporary landscape of global music. We are looking at a career that completely dismantles conventional genre categorization, effortlessly traversing neoclassical crossover, operatic pop, traditional Kazakh folk, jazz, rock, and contemporary mainstream pop. The genesis of his global prominence was not accidental. It was not reliant on a random viral TikTok moment. It was the result of a calculated, methodical progression through highly competitive international festival circuits, proving his mettle across diverse cultural landscapes. By the age of 5, he had commenced formal instruction in piano and vocals at the children's studio of the Oktob Music College. This early start is critical. Many individuals possess raw biological vocal talent, but without early systematic training, that talent often remains unstructured. Let us break down the biomechanics of this 6-octave range. The lower register, venturing into vocal fry, reaches down to G0 or F-sharp 1 and exhibits consistent, well-developed quality down to an A2. He utilizes this register not just for shock value, but strategically to establish dramatic tension, ground a composition, and demonstrate foundational breath support before ascending.
Бита. Отлично.
This is not an artist manufactured in a corporate boardroom or assembled by a team of hit-making producers in Los Angeles or London. This is an artist whose foundation was forged in a specific cultural ecosystem, shaped by generations of musical pedagogy and refined through a grueling, relentless commitment to the craft of singing. The architectural foundation of his musicality is inextricably linked to the city of Aktobe, Kazakhstan, where he was born on May 24, 1994. Aktobe is situated in the western part of the country, a place where the vast, sweeping expanses of the Eurasian steppe dictate a certain rhythm of life. Then comes the mid-range and belting register, extending up to a G-sharp 4 or G5. Here, he demonstrates incredibly high subglottic pressure and absolute vocal fold adduction. Subglottic pressure is the air pressure built up directly below the vocal folds. It is the fuel that powers the voice. Adduction refers to the vocal folds coming together tightly. He is capable of carrying full chest resonance up to these high notes without audible strain. Dimash was learning the geometry of music, the mathematics of the piano keyboard, and the fundamental mechanics of breath control before he was even old enough to fully articulate the concepts. He was absorbing the traditions of Kazakh folk music, the complex rhythms of the dombra, a traditional two-stringed instrument, and the emotive storytelling inherent in the songs of the steppe.
Dimash!
Pay pay şarkım.
The story of Dimash Kudaibergen is not just about a biological vocal anomaly. It is a case study in the globalization of non-Western artists an exploration of how a young man from the steppes of Kazakhstan leveraged strategic victories in Eastern European and East Asian television competitions to cultivate an intensely dedicated, borderless fan base.
Action.
Dimash's repertoire on the show was meticulously curated to showcase his linguistic versatility, cultural adaptability, and sheer vocal maximalism. He was a complete unknown to the Chinese audience when he first walked onto the stage in episode 1, again performing SOS d'un Télien en Tétresse. The reaction from the audience, the celebrity judges and vocal coaches watching the broadcast was visceral. Viewers were stunned by the alien quality of his head voice soaring over the orchestral arrangement. Throughout the competition, he performed a staggering array of complex pieces. The melancholic Chinese ballad Autumn Strong, Lara Fabian's notoriously difficult Adagio, and Eric Carmen's power ballad All by Myself. The pressure was immense. During the crucial 9th round of the competition, he battled a severe sore throat. The physical toll of the travel, the intense rehearsal schedules, and the sheer vocal taxation of the arrangements had caught up with him.
Hi everyone, nice to see you again. It's me, Dimash Kudaibergen, and also Monster. Nice to meet you. I just forget.
But navigating from that subterranean GO all the way up to that stratospheric D8 encompasses over 6 octaves. It is an anatomical anomaly, a physiological rarity that defies the established taxonomies of vocal pedagogy. It requires vocal folds capable of vibrating with the dense, thick mass of a bass baritone and simultaneously possessing the extreme, almost microscopic elasticity to close the glottis so tightly that only a tiny stream of air escapes to create a whistle tone. Parallel to his massive television production success in Asia, the spring of 2026 saw Dimash reach a new zenith in classical crossover performance in Europe. On April 18, 2026, the MVM Dome in Budapest hosted an unprecedented musical event billed as the meeting of 3 icons. The concert was conceptually designed to unite 3 distinct musical universes: the unparalleled operatic legacy of Maestro Placido Domingo, the electrifying classical crossover instrumentation of cellist Hauser, and the extraordinary vocal range of Dimash Kudaibergen. The venue itself, the MVM Dome, is a marvel of modern architecture and the largest multifunctional hall in Budapest, boasting a capacity of 20,000 spectators across its massive 50,000 square meter footprint. The brothers also collaborated on a highly personal composition for their sister Raushen's wedding, titled When My Swallow Built Her Nest. This highlights how deeply interwoven their personal and professional musical lives remain. The music is not separate from the family. The music is the family. But raw talent and family support alone do not forge a global icon capable of safely executing whistle tones without shredding their vocal cords. The biological gift required meticulous refinement through rigorous institutional training. Dimash expanded his operational scope, moving from a front-and-center vocalist to an industry architect, a reality television producer, and a global cultural diplomat. In February 2026, he unveiled Voice Beyond Horizon, an ambitious international music reality and travelogue project broadcast globally via China's Hunan TV and the Mango TV digital platform. He did not simply attach his name to this project. He served as the initiator, a mentor, a judge, and crucially, the executive producer. He conceptualized the program not as a standard, cutthroat talent competition, but as a vast, collaborative cultural expedition. The production was monumental in scale. It involved 22 days of rigorous location filming across thousands of kilometers, traversing the sweeping natural landscapes and deep cultural heritage of Kazakhstan. The production crew traveled through the Turkestan, Mangistau, Akmola, and Almaty regions, capturing the breathtaking topography of the steppe. There is a specific frequency where the human voice stops sounding entirely human. At the deepest end of the spectrum, around a GO, the sound resembles the subterranean rumble of tectonic plates shifting deep within the earth, a vibration you feel in your chest rather than process with your ears. At the absolute opposite extreme, specifically around a D8, the sound transcends normal vocalization entirely. It becomes a whistle, a crystalline, almost piercingly pure frequency that mimics the highest notes of a violin or the cry of a falcon catching an updraft. Most professional singers spend a lifetime attempting to master just a fraction of the space between those two extremes. A highly trained operatic tenor might navigate 2 or perhaps 3 octaves with supreme control, dedicating decades to refining that specific narrow corridor of sound. Following his secondary education, Dimash enrolled at the Zhubanov Music College in Aktobe. It's here that he encountered a truly transformative figure in his development, the esteemed Kazakh vocal coach Marat Aitimov. Aitimov is the architect of Dimash's foundational vocal control. He systematically expanded the young singer's biological range and, perhaps more importantly, instilled a lifelong discipline of daily vocal exercises. This is a critical point of differentiation. Dimash frequently acknowledges Aitimov's impact, noting that even at the height of his global fame, he continues to practice daily vocal drills. To understand Dimash, you have to understand the household he was born into. It was an environment deeply saturated with musical pedagogy. His father, Kanat Aitbayev, was a prominent singer, poet, and educator. Kanat taught at the Aktobe Pedagogical Institute and served as the director of the House of Friendship at the Aktobe Philharmonic. His mother, Svetlana Aitbayeva, was equally successful as a regional vocalist. In their home, musical expression was not merely a hobby or an extracurricular activity, it was the primary mode of communication. It was the language spoken at the dinner table, the atmosphere that permeated every room. He cites the continuous learning ethos of legends like Luciano Pavarotti, understanding that the human voice is a living, changing instrument that requires relentless maintenance to retain its agility. His academic progression did not stop there. He continued his studies at the Music Institute of K. Zubinov University, majoring in vocal performance with a specialization in bel canto. Bel canto, literally beautiful singing in Italian, is a highly demanding classical vocal technique, emphasizing evenness of tone across the entire range, agile phrasing, and impeccable breath control. He bypassed the traditional Anglo-American music industry apparatus entirely. By the first quarter of the year 2026, Dimash had evolved from a vocal prodigy navigating the pressures of reality television into an executive producer of transnational media, a United Nations global humanitarian figure, and an elite collaborator sharing stages with the absolute titans of the classical world. Creating a powerful, operatic, or rock-oriented timbre that anchors his most dramatic anthems. Moving higher, we reach the head voice in falsetto, stretching from A4 to D6. This is arguably his most commercially recognized asset. He navigates this register with the agility and pure crystalline tone of a coloratura soprano, allowing him to effortlessly access and sustain pitches typically exclusive to female vocalists. Finally, we reach the whistle register, spanning from D6 to an astonishing D8. This is an extreme physiological mechanism. In the whistle register, the vocal folds do not fully vibrate along their entire length. Instead, they zip up tightly, leaving only a highly constricted glottal opening at the anterior portion. Air whistles through this tiny gap. He chose instead to pioneer a dangerous, uncharted neoclassical crossover space. He wanted to fuse traditional Kazakh instrumentation, classical vocal technique, and modern pop aesthetics. To truly grasp why this gamble paid off, we have to look closely at the anatomical vocal architecture and the technical mechanics that make his live performances possible. The scientific, pedagogical, and critical consensus surrounding his voice points to a rarity that constantly challenges standard categorization. While primarily classified by vocal pedagogues as a light lyric tenor or a tenor bar baritone due to the timbre and weight of his natural speaking and mid-range singing voice, his ability to access physiological extremities is unparalleled in mainstream commercial music. It established his reputation in Eastern Europe, elevating his profile and setting the stage for his eventual introduction to the massive, highly lucrative East Asian market. The most consequential inflection point of Kudaibergen's entire career arrived in early 2017. He was selected to participate as a wildcard competitor in the 5th season of Hunan Television's Singer 2017 in China. This was not a standard reality talent show finding amateur singers. This was a high-stakes competition featuring established professional music industry veterans battling week after week. Broadcasting to a potential audience of over 1 billion viewers across China, Southeast Asia, and international satellite feeds, the program offered exposure on a scale that is difficult to fully comprehend. To understand this trajectory, we have to strip away the spectacle of the 6-octave range and examine the scaffolding beneath it. We have to look at the meticulous academic rigor, the profound cultural diplomacy, and the deep, abiding connection to his familial roots in Kazakhstan. His name itself, Din Muhammad, carries profound cultural and spiritual weight. Conceptually, it translates to the religion of Muhammad is given by God, reflecting a deep spiritual rooting within his identity.
And what he did today, the show was so amazing. So we have to say thank.
He utilized his massive Stranger World tour to launch strategic awareness campaigns, displaying QR codes on arena screens that allowed tens of thousands of audience members to donate directly to the IOM's life-saving efforts and crisis response operations. At a national and regional level, Dimash Kudaibergen functions as the ultimate emissary of Kazakh and Turkic culture. His steadfast insistence on performing traditional Kazakh songs like Daididao and Kusni Korlan, while utilizing traditional instruments like the dumbura on massive global stages, has sparked an unprecedented international interest in Central Asian musical heritage. He has effectively modernized the perception of the Kazakh steppe for a global audience. In 2019, he appeared on the United States reality competition, The World's Best. Although he strategically withdrew in the semifinals to allow younger competitors a chance at victory, the appearance secured vital North American exposure. The evolution of his live performances during this period reflects his rapid transition from a television contestant into a stadium-level global draw.
I'm very privileged to have an extraordinary, exceptional guest. Tonight, I will be joined on stage by one of the most impressive, immense, huge, alien voices I've ever heard in my whole life.
Recognizing the need for an even more comprehensive understanding of musical structure, Dimash relocated to the capital, Astana. His grandparents moved with him, a testament to the family's absolute dedication to his development. At the prestigious Kazakh National University of Arts, he pursued a major in vocal performance focusing on contemporary music, followed by a master's degree in composition, and eventually engaged in doctoral studies, pursuing a PhD in musicology. But it was the Stranger World Tour, spanning from 2022 to 2025, that represented the absolute zenith of his live capabilities. His touring era began with the Bastau Tour in 2017, moving into the Arnau Tour across 2019 and 2020, which expanded his footprint massively across Eastern Europe and Russia, winning Pop Concert of the Year at the Ticketon Awards. This tour moved far beyond his traditional strongholds. He conquered major global arenas in Yerevan, Antalya, Kuala Lumpur, Hong Kong, Prague, and Dusseldorf. It culminated in massive 2025 fixtures in vital Western markets. On October 5, 2025, he executed a historic, physically punishing 3-hour performance at Madison Square Garden in New York City. He followed this with shows at the Auditorio Nacional in Mexico City, the OVO Arena Wembley in London, and the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Berlin, concluding with a grand finale in Riga, Latvia. Furthermore, his use of vibrato is highly calculated. It is not a default physiological tremor. He employs it dynamically, manipulating its speed and width depending on the genre to add depth and emotional gravity to sustained notes. He executes rapid pitch runs and melismas with surgical precision. Critics occasionally argue that his extreme multi-octave leaps cater more to talent show theatrics than traditional, restrained artistic sensibilities. But comprehensive pedagogical counter-analyses stress a different reality. Designed by star architect Georgi Scardelli and opened in late 2021, the arena features a striking facade inspired by the anatomical drawings of Michelangelo, resembling skeletal muscles that are brought to life at night by thousands of dynamically controlled RGBW luminaires. It is a venue built for massive scale, supported by 485 enormous delta beams. The event faced a severe logistical hurdle when Hauser was forced to physically withdraw due to a sudden health crisis. Demonstrating high-level adaptability, the production team seamlessly integrated exclusive pre-recorded video segments of the cellist into the live show. The musical foundation was provided by the 60-member Budapest Donani Symphony Orchestra under the direction of guest conductor Eugene Cohn. The concert was a triumph. Dimash delivered a highly anticipated rendition of The Phantom of the Opera on the Budapest stage. Following the performance, Placido Domingo publicly commended him, stating, "A tenor has to be attractive, charismatic, a leader, a winner, and you have everything it takes for that." This endorsement from an undisputed titan firmly validated Dimash's artistry at the absolute highest echelons of the classical world. The artistic, professional, and diplomatic trajectory of Dimash Kudaibergen is a testament to the confluence of supreme biological endowment, rigorous academic pedagogy, and astute forward-thinking cultural strategy. His vocal architecture alone secures his place within the pantheon of historical vocal anomalies.
Following traditional Kazakh familial customs, the young Dimash's upbringing was heavily influenced by his grandparents. In Kazakh culture, it is common for the eldest child to be raised primarily by the grandparents, a practice that ensures the transmission of generational wisdom, cultural values, and ancestral history. His grandmother, Miwa Nizamuddinova, a biology and geography teacher, alongside his grandfather, took primary responsibility for his early upbringing. They provided the cultural and emotional scaffolding that kept the young prodigy grounded. They instilled traditional values, an immense respect for elders, and a deep sense of humility that remains remarkably evident in his public persona today, even amidst the blinding glare of global superstardom. Because he was surrounded by working musicians and educators, his initiation into the performing arts occurred unusually early. His first stage appearance took place when he was just 2 years old, cast in a minor theatrical role in a local production.
Happy to see you again. And thank you for accepting to sing at the end.
A defining phase was his extensive collaboration with the eminent Russian composer Igor Krutoy. This partnership yielded a definitive neoclassical pop sound, culminating in the 2021 joint album Dimash Kudaibergen and Igor Krutoy. Krutoy provided the massive orchestral grandeur required to match Dimash's vocal intensity, generating dramatic anthems like Love of Tired Swans, the operatic Olympico, and Mademoiselle Hyde. But Dimash increasingly asserted his own compositional control, drawing on his master's degree. He composed tracks like War and Peace, addressing global conflict, and The Story of One Sky, a sweeping 12-minute conceptual epic addressing themes of global unity.
You have 6 octaves. But I think so we will do the percussion.
Dimash traveled to Vitebsk, Belarus, to compete in the Sloansky Bazaar, a deeply respected international festival of arts. This competition is known for its rigorous standards, heavily featuring participants from Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and other post-Soviet states. The rules required participants to sing Slavonic songs on the first day and world hits on the second. Dimash stepped onto that stage as a clear favorite from day one. He performed Blizzard Again, a popular Russian song by Valery Melazy, alongside an original rendition of the traditional Kazakh folk song Didi Dao. On the second day, he delivered a performance that would alter the trajectory of his life. He sang SOS d'une terrienne en détresse, a phenomenally difficult French song composed by Michel Berger with lyrics by Luc Plamondon, originally written for the rock opera Starmania. The song is notorious for its brutal vocal demands, requiring sudden, massive leaps between chest voice and a soaring, desperate falsetto. Dimash executed it flawlessly. He won the Grand Prix with a near-perfect score of 175 out of 180 points. This prestigious victory formally validated his hybrid classical pop methodology and introduced his vocal anomalies to a massive post-Soviet audience.
I heard your voice. I was in Italy, and I've been very surprised because you have an amazing voice. Thank you very much.
Dimash invited a diverse cohort of international artists from China, Kyrgyzstan, Italy, Malaysia, and Serbia to journey alongside him, connecting the ancient nodes of the Silk Road through musical collaboration. To ensure absolute musical integrity, he assembled an elite panel of co-mentors, including Chinese artists Lei Jia and Li Yugong, pop singer Peng Jiahui, and the U.S. Grammy-winning producer Walter Afanasieff.
The program achieved staggering commercial success. By April 2026, it had surpassed 1.5 billion views across all online platforms, becoming a flagship property.
Hi Dimash, it's Eva. Just want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. You are such a great talent in this world, and I'm so happy to know you. All the best today and for the...
This intense dual proficiency in both rigorous classical operatic technique and contemporary composition created the most critical inflection point in his early career. Based purely on his exceptional bel canto capabilities, Dimash was formally offered a permanent position at the Astana Opera. This is a highly coveted orthodox path. For a classically trained vocalist, a permanent opera position guarantees prestige, financial stability, and a respected place within the high art establishment. Declining such an offer is a massive risk. Yet demonstrating early artistic autonomy and a prescient understanding of shifting global music consumption paradigms, he turned it down. Between 2010 and 2013, he systematically dominated the regional competitive landscape across Central Asia and Eastern Europe. He secured first place at the international festival Sonorous Voices of Baikonur, triumphed at the Jaskanat Republican Contest, won the Oriental Bazaar in Ukraine, and claimed the Grand Prix at the Macon Asia Festival in Kyrgyzstan. But the critical geographical and cultural breakthrough occurred in the summer of 2015. His cultural footprint transcends music entirely. Leveraging his striking physical presence and massive follower engagement, he has become a highly sought-after figure in the fashion industry, modeling for major global labels and gracing the covers of Men's Health, L'Officiel Homes, and Elle. He has expanded into acting, starring in Chinese and Russian television productions, solidifying his omnipresence in Eurasian media. Dimash employs this register for highly climactic ornamental flourishes. Expert analyses of his live performances reveal a mastery of biomechanical alignment. Prominent vocal specialists note that his foundation relies on optimal upper body posture, ensuring the precise alignment of the neck, spine, and head. This alignment opens the internal resonators, expands the pharyngeal space in the back of the throat, and prevents laryngeal constriction. It is this exact physical alignment that allows him to sing at such extreme volumes and pitches without incurring the dreaded vocal node damage that ruins so many careers. But as the exhaustive data from his 2025 and 2026 operational milestones demonstrate, his legacy will not be defined solely by his physiological extremity of his vocal range. He has successfully navigated the highly perilous transition from a viral television sensation into an autonomous, globally respected institution. He is a geopolitical cultural asset, a unifying diplomatic figure in a fractured world, and a definitive architect charting the future of cross-cultural expression. He swept regional awards, winning as Best Asian Singer at China's Top Music Awards and capturing the 24th ERC Chinese Top 10 Music Awards. The Asian market had been thoroughly conquered. Following his triumph in Asia, Dimash systematically targeted Western and global markets. He understood the danger of regional pigeonholing. This familial dynamic, this intense musical ecosystem, did not simply launch his career and then fade into the background. It continues to inform and structure his professional life today, creating a self-sustaining creative engine. His younger sister, Raushan, and particularly his younger brother, Sloansky Kudaibergen, have been increasingly integrated into his musical infrastructure. Mansour, born in 2007, has evolved into a formidable musician in his own right. He does not simply ride on the coattails of his older brother's fame. He is a vital component of the touring apparatus. During the massive, physically grueling global Stranger World Tour, Mansour served as a solo guitarist, embedding his own distinct musical signature into the live shows. His versatility is striking. During the tour's grand finale in Riga, Latvia in December 2025, Mansour seamlessly filled in as the primary keyboardist. The generational continuity extends deep into the composition process. Mansour composed the track Together, which Dimash released in 2023, highlighting a collaborative, familial approach to music production.
His voice is out of this world. He has insane range, from the lowest to highest notes, and the duets that we did together.
If this deep dive into the architecture of a global vocal phenomenon changed how you listen to music, send this episode to someone who appreciates the absolute limits of human ability.
Reviews from the Madison Square Garden show highlighted a staggering display of stamina. He seamlessly transitioned between opera, rock, world music, pop, folk, R&B, and rap over 3 continuous hours, completely overpowering acoustic limitations through raw vocal force.
Parallel to his touring, his discographic evolution revealed a growing compositional autonomy. Singing at such physical extremes requires supreme technique and absolute muscular control. A vocalist utilizing poor technique at those extremities would suffer immediate and severe vocal trauma. His live delivery involves an advanced understanding of microphone dynamics, enabling him to manually balance the immense acoustic pressure of his chest-dominant belting with the delicate, high-frequency phonation of his whistle tones by constantly adjusting the physical distance of the microphone from his mouth.
Beyond the stage, this immense global popularity was systematically channeled into structured humanitarianism. On December 8, 2025, the United Nations International Organization for Migration appointed Dimash as a Global Goodwill Ambassador during its annual council session in Geneva. This upgraded his previous regional status, placing him in a lineage of UN ambassadors that includes high-impact figures like Angelina Jolie and Lionel Messi. During the Geneva session, he performed SOS d'une terrienne en détresse directly for UN member state delegations, utilizing his art to center discussions on human vulnerability. It was a situation that would force most vocalists to withdraw entirely to protect their instrument. Yet he pushed through, adapting his technique to protect his damaged vocal cords while still delivering a performance that dominated the 500-member jury voting. He ultimately finished as the runner-up to the legendary Hong Kong industry veteran Sandy Lam. This placement was strategically perfect. It solidified his superstar status across Asia, earning him the devotion of a massive, highly organized global fan base known as the Deers, without locking him into the restrictive, multi-year winner's contract that often stifles artistic autonomy. By 2024, tracks like Smoke and When I've Got You showed a sharp pivot toward modern global R&B and pop fusion, while Fire featured a rap verse executed by Dimash himself in multiple languages. The year 2026 marked another definitive transition. His touring era began with the Bastau Tour in 2017, transitioning into the Arnau Tour across 2019 and 2020, which expanded his footprint massively across Eastern Europe and Russia, winning Pop Concert of the Year at the Ticketon Awards. When the global pandemic brought live music to a halt, he executed a strategic pivot with the Dimash Digital Show in 2021, an online concert that partnered with Project Cure to donate proceeds to international medical charity efforts.
Я люблю тебя, жизнь моя.
In recognition of this immense contribution to regional soft power projection, he was officially named the Ambassador of Turkic World Culture by Turksoy on March 5, 2026, at a ceremony in Astana. Receiving this order makes him only the second recipient in history, elevating his status from pop star to a historical cultural titan. This diplomatic recognition is reinforced by the highest national artistic titles he holds, including the People's Artist of Kazakhstan and the People's Artist of Kyrgyzstan.
The geopolitical implications were immense, serving as a potent soft power tool, bridging Sino-Kazakh relations and promoting Central Asian tourism. This structural shift in his career was formally recognized on April 11, 2026, at the Venetian Macau Arena. During the Weibo Gala Cultural Exchange Night, Dimash was awarded the Weibo Macau China Award for annual contribution to international cultural exchange. In his acceptance speech, he poignantly noted that while he had received countless awards globally for singing, this marked a monumental milestone as his very first industry award as a producer. It validated his hard-fought evolution into a true industry architect.